My story is not supernatural. It can be somewhat explained, and it's not the near-death situation that's scary. It's the fact that people like this still exist. Okay, I grew up in a tiny town. I'm talking 1,000 people in the whole town, only one grocery store, one fast food restaurant, and 2 or 3 more family-owned businesses in West Virginia. The adults always told us never to go too far into the mountains. We assumed it was because they were scared we'd get lost. In the part of West Virginia I lived in, the roads far from the highway are desolate, tiny, and usually not paved. They go on for miles and connect thousands of easily confusable roads. This is a lot easier than this sounds. By being stupid teenagers, me and my friend Jake would go drive out and explore these seemingly desolate areas. One Wednesday we set out after school in my car into this uninhabited stretch of mountain range. There was a particular abandoned gas station around 20 miles out of town that we liked to go to and engage in various mischievous activities. But this day we couldn't find the gas station. In fact, none of these roads even looked slightly familiar. We were no longer driving on gravel roads. We were now driving through paths in the dense pine forests. The sun was beginning to set and we knew we were lost. This had never happened before. We could always remember the way back. Finally, we came upon a large shed, or I suppose it was a small one-room cabin. It was made out of rotting wooden planks. It looked uninhabitable. I pulled into the narrow path leading up to the shed to turn the car around. As I inched closer to the shed, I could make out a beat-up truck near it. When I pulled the car in enough to turn around, these 2 men emerged from the shed. One was bulky and portly, the other was freakishly thin. They were both wearing baby doll masks and old, vintage, granny-looking dresses. Their long, scraggly grey beards hung out from under the masks. Their eyes were completely black. The pupil had been completely engulfed by their eyes. The scrawny one immediately pointed a shotgun at us. My friend immediately ducked his head and reached around me, threw my head down towards the middle console. The scrawny man fired and shattered the windshield. Had it not been for my friends, I don't know if I would have survived. After the windshield shattered, I either entered a state of shock or a state of complete clarity. My instincts just took over. I threw the car in reverse and floored it out of there. About 15 seconds later, I saw the truck that had been parked behind the shed in my rearview mirror. They were following us. They began throwing bottles and bricks at my car. I just kept going faster and faster. I rolled down all the windows in the car so that the air that was flying in the car through the shattered windshield could escape and we wouldn't be slowed down as much. They began trying to hit us from behind, coming within inches of the car, only backing off because their truck couldn't go over 80 miles per hour. After 10 minutes of them trying to run us off the road, did I realise how old and beat up their truck was. I began to think, if I could hit a turn going fast enough, my car would drift, but their truck would run off the road or flip. I wasn't positive this would work, but with every second they were coming closer to running us off the road and doing God knows what else to us. It was our only hope to survive this. At the next turn, I ripped it as hard as I absolutely could. In the middle of it, I remember thinking to myself, I'm drifting too hard for a gravel road, I'm going to lose control. I don't know why I didn't lose control, and why we didn't drift off the road into a horrible crash. Maybe God, or whatever, please God, was on our side that day. Right as we cleared the turn, I looked in the rearview mirror to see the truck flip on its side and hit a tree. The truck was bent in a way, so it looked like it just wrapped around the tree. I didn't stop. I drove for about 40 more minutes into the nearest town and reported this to the local police department. This was the most shocking part. The police told me that they knew about the men. They told us that there were people like that. They were the spawn of years of incest, and they lived far back in the mountains where people never go. They're mentally deranged and sometimes physically deformed. They said that there was nothing they could do. These people couldn't be put in jail because they were so mentally deranged that they could never live in society. They told us we had no business being that far. And that was it.